Before the story became history, it was carried as memory, a wall, a king, and a people who, according to oral tradition, refused to remain trapped. In the story remembered by many Ewe communities, the city of Notsie was once ruled by a king whose name still carries weight, Agorkorli. Some accounts remember him as powerful, others remember him as cruel. But at the center of the story stands one image, a wall of clay rising around a people who would one day escape through silence, wisdom, and unity. In Ewe memory, Notsie was not only a place of suffering, it was also a place where people lived, worked, raised children, told stories, prepared food, sat beside fires, and carried tradition from one generation to the next. Ancient Notsie is remembered as a clay-walled city, a place of reddish earth, narrow paths, clay houses, woven mats, calabashes, smoke, and dust. Before the wall became a symbol of fear, it stood within a living world. Mothers watched over children, elders carried memory, workers moved through the paths of the city. And somewhere inside that remembered world, power began to change the meaning of home. Many versions of the story remember Agorkorli as a ruler whose authority became associated with fear. He is not remembered as loud or foolish, but as controlled, stern, and dangerous in his silence. In oral tradition, rulers often become more than individuals. They become symbols of power, control, suffering, or warning. So when the story speaks of Agorkorli, it is not only speaking of a king seated in a court, it is speaking of authority when it becomes too heavy, of command when it becomes cruelty, of a ruler whose people no longer saw the city walls as protection, but as confinement. Whether every detail happened exactly as told, the memory endured because it carried a truth people understood. Power can build walls, but fear can make those walls feel higher. In some versions of the oral tradition, the people of Notsie were made to labor under harsh conditions. The wall became the center of that memory. Hands pressed clay into clay. Baskets were carried through dust. Feet moved over hot earth. The wall rose, not only from mud and water, but from exhaustion. The story remembers workers under pressure, watched by guards, carrying the weight of a king's command. And slowly, the wall became more than architecture. It became a boundary between freedom and fear, between home and prison, between silence and survival. In the story, the wall became more than clay. It became the shape of fear itself. But the story of Notsie is not only a story of suffering, it is also a story of wisdom. According to oral tradition, the escape did not begin with weapons. It did not begin with shouting. It did not begin with open rebellion. It began quietly. In hidden places, elders whispered. Families listened. Women watched the wall. People learned the rhythm of guards, the silence of night, and the patience of survival. The plan had to be carried carefully because one careless word could destroy everyone. So the people moved with caution. The plan did not begin with shouting. It began in whispers. According to one of the most repeated versions, women played a crucial role in weakening the wall. The story says they carried water quietly to the clay, little by little, night after night, softening the wall where the people would one day pass through. This detail should not be imagined as magic. It is remembered as patience, as strategy, as ordinary hands doing extraordinary work in silence. A calabash tilted, water touched clay. The wall absorbed what it could not see coming. And in that small act, repeated quietly, the story gives power to those who were not holding staffs, sitting on thrones, or commanding guards. It says survival can begin with the softest sound, water entering earth. Then came the night remembered in the tradition. Many versions say the people moved under cover of darkness through the weakened part of the wall. No drums, no shouting, no celebration, only breath, dust, and silence. Mothers held children close. Younger hands helped the old. Families carried what little they could. Every step had to be careful. Every sound had to be swallowed by the night. This was not a battle scene. It was something more fragile. A people stepping out of fear without knowing what waited beyond the wall. In that moment, the wall that had stood above them became the opening through which they disappeared. And Notsie, once a home, became a place they had to leave in order to live. One of the most memorable details in the oral tradition says the escaping people walked backwards. The reason was simple but powerful. If guards followed the footprints in the dust, the tracks would appear to lead the wrong way. Not out of Notsie, back toward it. It is one of the most striking images in the story, a people moving forward by stepping backward, wisdom over force, silence over command, strategy over fear. Here, the story becomes more than an escape route. It becomes a lesson. When power watches the obvious path, survival may choose another. And when the guards came to read the earth itself seemed to lie. By morning, the silence had changed. The wall still stood. The clay houses still remained. The paths were still there, but the people were gone. In the story, the city wakes into absence. The spaces that once held voices now hold only dust, cold ash, and open doorways. The guards see the broken wall. They see the tracks. They see what power failed to understand. A wall can hold bodies for a time, but it cannot hold a people forever when memory, unity, and courage begin moving together. For many Owe communities, Notsie became a remembered point of departure, a place where suffering, resistance, and identity meet. The story travels beyond the wall. It moves into memories of migration, settlement, and belonging across parts of present-day Togo, Ghana, and Benin. But this must be told carefully. Not every detail is confirmed history. Not every version is the same. Some parts may be history, some may be symbol, some may be memory shaped by generations of retelling. But the story endured because it answered a deeper question. How does a people remember the moment they refused to disappear? Whether history, symbol, or memory, the story of Notsie remains powerful because it speaks to something beyond one king and one wall. It speaks of people trapped by power, people who waited, people who planned, people who moved together when silence was the only safe language. Maybe the wall of Notsie was not only made of clay, maybe it was made of fear. And on the night they broke through it, they were not only escaping a king, they were becoming a people.